Alright, Blender 3D game development live streaming. Here we go. This is where we left off last time on the boss model, so I'm just gonna start working on detailing him up and tweaking some things. First and foremost, I feel like the arms should be a little bit boxier. So I still want them a little bit curved, but I want them to be a bit boxier. I've been thinking about this a bit while I haven't been working on this and just playing Fortnite. So, I'm just going to sort of box that up a bit. Maybe even make these a bit sharper. Just one, maybe. Hey, Mason, how's it going? I'm just working on my game. I figure if I'm going to be working on it, I might as well be streaming it. So this is the boss robot in progress, which, long way to go. And my other qualm with this was that he looked too happy, so we're going to get rid of the mouth for now. And we will modify this, but keep a backup of the original piece. I think that's a cooler look than the smile. We don't want a happy boss. Make him more like a knight. And we can always change that later, but let's get to detailing some more. I'm going to add a power core on the chest. And we will do that with a cylinder, being conscious of our vertex count. Sort of like Iron Man, I guess. Please don't sue me, Marvel. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, VR is really cool. I'm just trying to finish up Punch Bomb so I can work on the next project, and that requires me to have a cool boss. That kind of sucks that you don't have the headset anymore, but I guess you gotta do what makes you happy and not be in a job that you don't like. And as far as working, I'm just sort of experimenting until I like the way things look. Just typical CG workflow I'm sure you're familiar with. Maybe make this bigger and eventually have like wires and stuff coming off of it. Box this up a bit. This boss is for the Descend game mode that's in progress. It's the procedurally generated one, so it's 9 procedurally generated levels and then a boss battle. And then I think we'll go ahead and just split these edges. And that way we can give it some overlap, which might be kind of cool. Break it up a bit. Punching TV is no bueno. The mode is by no means even close to done, really. I finally have all the level art, and I just have to add more enemies in a boss fight and actually have things affect health and stuff, but still a ways to go. But I'm gonna work on a multiplayer VR shooter with Theory next, because I think multiplayer is the future of VR for sure. I have not played The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. I'm not actually familiar with that one. Is that a VR title? Or does it have VR support? And mostly we've honestly just been playing a shit ton of Fortnite lately. And maybe this can overlap a little bit. We'll just add sort of panel overlapping for mindless detail, make him look sort of like a junk robot. Are you still working with Andrew Price on stuff? As I was watching his interview with Andrew Kramer today, and that was really cool. As I grew up like on Andrew Kramer's stuff. There we go. I don't know how far behind the live stream is. Seems like it's pretty far. Which I think that's always the case. Yeah, I will write down Vanishing of Ethan Carter and check it out when I have a chance. Thanks for the suggestion. And a lot of the smaller details and stuff I'm going to do with textures and substance painters to keep poly counts lower. I'm just trying to get bigger details in right now. Nice. That's the best way to get paid. Yeah, I missed Andrew at SIGGRAPH last year since he didn't go. It's always fun catching up with him. And I haven't modeled a lot of robots in my day, so this is definitely a challenge. I remember that we met at the at Andrew Price's meetup thing. That was pretty cool. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it this year. It depends on whether work pays for it or not. But hopefully, because Vancouver is beautiful. Fortunately, the scene will be dark in the game, so even if the robot looks like complete garbage, nobody will care. I'm just gonna add a mouth cover piece panel here. Which I don't know if you model in using HardOps at all, but it's like my favorite plugin for Blender ever. Oh god, that looks fucking terrible. Yeah, it would definitely be fun to catch up. Yeah, I don't like how this is looking at all. I'm just gonna delete that and pretend it never happened. Ugh. My problem with modeling robots is finding where to put in all of the detail. Because you see these cool images like, for instance, this. They got wires and pipes and everything everywhere, which obviously they had giant visual effects teams working on that. But, yeah. HardOps just, yeah, it just makes hard surface stuff way easier, which I've had to do a lot of for this game. And nobody's ever going to really see the back of the robot, so I don't think I'm going to worry about that too much. I guess I'll start adding joints and stuff. Because we have the joints in place, but they need to actually connect. Yeah, most of the stuff you do is like environments and stuff, right? Which, let's pretend that there's a joint right here. And then we can do a curve. Connection of some sort. Oh, nice. Yeah, SpeedTree is amazing. I subscribed to the $20 a month for Unreal SpeedTree for a while to get some foliage. And that program is so cool. I wish that you could just do like the SpeedTree Cinema for 20 a month though. That would be amazing. Nice. Time lapses are always really fun to watch. You gotta send me a link when you get that up. Let's connect these like this, just because it'll maybe even exaggerate how much it comes down just to add some unnecessary detail. Which generally when I'm modeling technology stuff, I like to do function over form, like what kind of things does it need to function, but for a sci-fi game like this, almost gotta um, just add unnecessary detail so it looks cool. Oh yeah, 2 grand that's pretty expensive. Oh, but Trees for Life. Did they upgrade Cinema to 8 yet with the real-time PBR and stuff? Because I know they had the Lumberyard version that was upgraded to 8. But Unreal's version is still back on the old speed tree. So we'll just pretend this connects like this. Oh, I'm gonna go to the SpeedTree website right now. Because 8 brings so many cool new features. Let's see. SpeedTree Cinema 8. Oh, no, it's still just SpeedTree for UE4. It's not the one with all the cool PBR and stuff yet. Oh, that's disappointing. Because it's really cool. SpeedTree is just straight up integrated into Unreal Engine now. So you can just take SpeedTree files and drag them straight into the engine, and it's really cool. Unwrapping this is gonna be a bitch. That's the other problem with making game art. You have to like, you have to like unwrap everything. Can't get away with procedurals anymore. Which procedurals for everything is bad practice anyway, but I'm lazy. Yeah, the Unreal one's pretty much only good if you're doing Unreal stuff. Which, the only time I render anything anymore is pretty much at work. I just work straight in Unreal for everything at home because I'm working on my game. Which, I don't know if you saw any of the Unreal talks from SIGGRAPH last year, I don't know if they posted them online or not, but the stuff people are doing in real time is incredible. Like there was a car commercial where the car was rendered in CG completely in real time and composited on an HDR background in real time. It was insane. And let's connect these. Unreal is crazy to me, even just for the amount of times they update it throughout the year and like how many features they add to it. Like for most games, you would just pick the current version of the engine and lock into that for your game development. But with VR, you almost have to upgrade engine versions every time they do, just because they add so many cool VR optimizations and features. I think we can make that a lot thicker. And then turn the resolution down. You can always delete edge loops later where it's higher resolution. Maybe move these around. Just tell Andrew Price to make a tutorial series on how to make boss robots for Punch Bomb. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Oh, so now we got that connected. Right now I'm just, I guess, just connecting all of the joints. Which coincidentally just adds more detail, which is nice. Which, rigging this is going to be kind of fun. I'm going to use the IK systems because you can... I don't know if you're familiar with rigging much or not, but with the IK systems in Blender, you can lock bones to specific axes, which is pretty cool. So, like I have this motor that can only rotate that way and this motor that can only rotate that way. You can tell the IK to allow those bones to only rotate those specific directions, which is great for rigging machinery. So I'm looking forward to the rigging part. I'm not so much looking forward to the unwrapping part. And holy shit, that would be an expensive course. I don't have that kind of cash. Punch Bomb hasn't made a profit yet. Doesn't help that it's still in early access. I'm hoping it'll make a little bit more money when it comes out of early access, but I'm really going to be focusing on the next project, which I'm really looking forward to. Alright, so this one allows the legs to rotate out like that. This one allows them to rotate like that. This one allows them to rotate like that. So this one needs to be connected there. Oh, why is this not solidified? Which I don't really care about the legs so much, just because they're going to be pretty low down. People aren't going to see much of them. Yeah, I didn't even originally make it as a fitness game, but that's sort of how I started marketing it, just because everybody says it's a good workout. And people want to get fit doing stuff they enjoy instead of going to the gym and lifting weights. Definitely makes for pretty decent cardio, though. And we will... We've got to connect all of this and make it look cool. It might be kind of cool to have like connections coming out the front and going inside. Which, I'm not usually a huge fan of the curve tool, but I've just been abusing the hell out of it lately. It has its uses for sure. And then let's mirror this over. Then I think if we need to add some connection to the armor pieces up there. Oh, nice. Oh, I can imagine that curves would be great for roots. Nature is really tough. I commend you for doing that kind of stuff. Which I don't know how I feel about this if I don't have one up here too. And do you have any pages or anything I can subscribe to where I can keep up to date with stuff you're working on? Ah, you can send it to me on Facebook if you want to. As I will bookmark that. Oh, nice. Holy shit, dude. You've gotten a lot better. Like you're really this is really good work. I love the one with the torches and the I'm not sure what kind of stone beast that is, but it looks cool as hell. Which I don't think anybody else is watching the stream, but just in case. I don't know how worthwhile the plug is considering nobody actually watches this stuff, but maybe one day. I'm not liking how that's looking. But I do feel like this can be divided further. I'm gonna make a YouTube ad or something for live streaming at some point. Maybe shoot it this weekend. Just to try to get more people in here asking questions and stuff. I just figure if I'm working on my projects, I might as well talk to people while I'm doing it. Because it makes it a lot more interesting and actually forces me to focus on what I'm working on. So let's put some sort of power core, some sort of metal thing inside of his head. I'll just do a big cylinder. Doesn't have to be accurate or anything, just has to look cool. Yeah, and people tend to like live stream stuff and time lapses for sure. Like after I finish this and get it all textured and rigged and everything, I'll just make a time lapse of it. But, plus there's no reason really not to stream unless you just don't have internet. Who knows, might help someone out. Not you, because you are a pro, but if anybody else comes in here who doesn't know how to use Blender, maybe they can learn a thing or two. Huh. I don't want to add any like pneumatics like that I would have to actually rig. Just because I want to keep the rig as simple as humanly possible, but maybe faking it and adding details that look like that. Oh, yeah, the bone rotation locking is for IK. It's under the armature panel, inverse, nope, it's under the bone panel. I don't remember where it is. I'll have to think about that when I get to it again. It's somewhere around here though. Because you don't add it on the inverse kinematics panel, it's in a weird spot. I'm actually curious now. So if we make U the IK handle, oh, I guess it would be under pose mode. Yeah, okay, there it is. So under the when you're in pose mode, if you select a bone, you can change the inverse kinematic settings, which is kind of cool. It's useful information if you're ever making a robot, I guess, and rigging one. I'm gonna make this a little bit thinner. Alright, back to adding fake pneumatics just for the sake of detail. Ooh, dragon sounds cool. What's the dragon for? Actually, let's... Where do we want to put this? Maybe just have connections, something like that. Oh, that sounds cool. Is he gonna like be breathing fire all over everything? Um, Pretty much no constraints or anything transfer to Unreal, so I think you have to do baked animation, but otherwise the animation transfers pretty seamlessly. You just animate your rig and then import the FBX with the rig and animation, and Unreal takes it from there as a skeletal mesh. Yeah, transferring from Blender to Unreal is pretty painless for pretty much everything. Except, unless you're doing like rigid body physics, things can get a little bit weird. Let's just add some cool, like, man, I do not do things in order. Like, really, you should block it all out and then add smaller details, but I'm just like zooming out, like, what can I add? Yeah, plus Unreal is just a good skill to have in general with so many studios and things using it. I wish I could do simulation for all the wires and stuff, but that would probably be way too heavy on the processor. I don't know how the simulation would transfer from blend like this game VR games have to run at 90 frames per second and it has to render twice. So adding any sort of adding too much physics stuff like having all the wires on the robot sim and stuff would be really heavy, I think. And I honestly also just don't know how to do stuff like cloth sim in Unreal. I guess I'll figure that out for the next project. And the size of this guy is about that big compared to a regular person. So it'll be kind of spooky, I guess. I also have to give him hands at some point, but I'm really not looking forward to that. I hate modeling hands. God, Mason, you're trying to make me learn things? Yeah, so the scale, I generally wanted the fist to be about as big as the platform because he's going to be shooting bombs and shit at you, and then every once in a while he's going to try to punch you and you're going to have to punch his fist back at him. And it'll get progressively harder until you murder him. Which the other cool thing about Blender to Unreal, especially for VR, is that scale and metric units in Blender match metric units in Unreal perfectly. So if you just make a make human person and make them a regular like 5'5" or something, it'll match up in Unreal. So, just how I've been doing all the environments and getting the scale to feel at least somewhat right. But Iron Giant is literally one of my reference images. I'm trying not to rip it off too much, but it's a pretty good balance of detail and not detail. Those people knew what they were doing. Wires aren't very cool unless you have multiple, like, overlapping. And make one of them, like, smaller or something. Oh man, that movie is so classic. I don't think I can even count the amount of times I've seen it in my life. It's got everything. It's got beautiful animation and a really great story, which is, when it comes down to it, is all you really need. Like, people will play the shittiest looking games as long as they're fun, and people will watch the shittiest looking things as long as the story and content is pretty good. I guess I'll get started on the hands. Oh, fuck, what do I even make this look like? This is the hardest part. That's just why I've been avoiding it. Oh, so that's about the right size. Maybe a little bit smaller. It's gotta have room for fingers. I don't think the fingers are gonna animate. I'll probably add fingers though, like actual legit fingers. So we'll start with this. I guess I'll get some hand reference. Which, one thing I need to download and try is that app that Andrew was talking about in the Subway video that lets you just have lots of reference all over the screen. Oh, this is a pretty good image. which you can't see the image, but you will in a second. And let's get like a robot hand reference. How much does PureRef cost? I didn't actually look into it. Oh, I really like the way this one looks. Wait, PureRef is free? What? You might have just, like, changed my life. Oh, so we need... three pieces sticking out for fingers. Like, I like the way the joints work on this one. We'll change up the way it actually looks a bit, but I think that's the general sort of mechanics I'm going to be looking for. Dude, hands are such a bitch. Like, even just doing organic hands, I hate it. I hate it so much. And then you get to the unwrapping phase and it's just, I quit at life. But it has to be done. It's a punching game. He can't just punch me with stubs. Alright, so then... let's see. And the other hard part is getting the lengths of things right. So for that, we'll use our hand. And we'll just model to this. I don't feel like messing with sizes and stuff right now. Which I realize that's at an angle, but it's not too bad. It's kind of close. And just, dear God, this is going to be messy. Just give the robot giant boxing gloves. Not a terrible idea. But I don't know, it's a challenge. Why the hell not? Eliminate some edge loops there. And we can do the same with these. Oh no, I don't know, because those kind of define the curve. You might want to make 2 pieces here. Alright, see you in a bit, Mason. So I guess I'll go ahead and share this on the VR Dev Slack channel and stuff. Alright, so back to the hands. Looks like move this down some for the palm. Oh wait, no, palm's gonna be on the other side because I'm using a right hand reference. We can add like a cool connection for that. Just completely pointless detail, but it'll look cool. Then we can move these down a little bit, just to add a little bit of offset, kind of neatness. And that'll also give me area for the thumb, which you might want to move these up a little bit. Oh, hey, what's up again, Mason? Oh, I'm not looking forward to this. This is one of those areas where if I wasn't streaming, I would just like take an immediate 3-day break from this project. Alright, we gotta do this. And so general length is gonna be a little bit longer, I think. Like maybe like that. And you gonna be a little bit longer still. And you gonna be shorter than both. And you are gonna be the shortest. I feel like my hand's a little bit bigger than this reference image since the reference image is at a weird angle. So I'm going to make these just a little bit longer. And then we'll split them up. That looks like the ring finger is a little bit longer. It's just set in further. I think you're right, but since we can't set it in too much further, we're just gonna wing it. I don't think anybody's gonna notice just because these hands are gonna be completely in fists because they're gonna be trying to punch you. But good observation. I can probably make the joints a bit smaller too. So then we'll add, we can probably just go ahead and join the fingers. And these three can probably be about even. And then do these. Which, when I go to rig this, I may have to change these scales completely. But I guess we'll find out then. For this joint setup, it looks like he doesn't even have the third bone. It's just 2 bones, which is kind of weird. But I guess it makes sense for a robot hand. We're pretty much just going to copy that layout. Oh man, I'm so scared to just start making changes. I'll probably end up just modeling one finger and then duplicating it across and scaling it, but yeah. So we'll go ahead and just straight up delete these. Then split these. Get the hard ops on there so we can see some nice intersections. I hate hands so much. Just I don't know why I made a punching game. That was the dumbest idea I could have had. Let's make these sort of as wide as the joint areas just to make them look cool. I'll model one out until I think it looks cool and then just duplicate it across. Alright, later Mason. Hope it's a good meeting. I'll see you later, I'm sure. Let's make this a little bit bigger so it actually feels neat. And I think that this whole thing, this whole part of the hand can be a bit thinner. So we'll bring that up some, and we'll bring the top down some. And for anybody watching, if you see me do something in Blender that you're not familiar with, or you just have any questions in general, feel free to ask anything. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to hang out, work on stuff, and answer your questions. I don't know why I did that when I could just do that. Just something like that, and then we can make this one even a little bit bigger just to add some variance. Maybe these ones a little bit smaller. That's a decent finger joint, I think. Although let's mirror it. And this one is much shorter. So that gives us a pretty decent start. I think these edges can be beveled. So right now they're sharp and it looks ugly. Which when you're beveling in Blender, if you scroll the mouse wheel, you can change the amount of segments. It just kind of, some people don't know that. And then these will no longer need to be sharp. For anybody watching, I'm using HardOps, which is a plugin for Blender that lets you do crazy cool stuff like this. So I have this cube, I hit QC, now it's beveled. I can hit QB to change the bevel amount. Then I could duplicate it and then do like a slash. And now I have a perfect cut that's already beveled and everything. Which is kind of nice. Geometry is not going to be perfect, but we're doing hard surface modeling. So it's great for hard surface stuff. It's terrible for stuff you need to rig and deform like a human. Alright, now let's figure out how to do these fingers. This is going to be a challenge for sure. I guess we'll just duplicate these across. You can center these on the joint. We'll give them some nice bulky pieces, and then give it a little bit of space for the joint. And then we'll split it all up into panels and stuff in a bit. Right now I just want to get the fingers and joints in place. Which you probably want to center this on the joints. Like so. And I think we can take these edges and make these start to resemble fingers a little bit more. And then the fingers are going to be bending in, so we're going to have to compensate for the bending so we don't collide the mesh. And then again, we'll shape these more like fingers as we go along. I just want to get everything in place right now. That one's no longer correct, so we will use this joint. Something like that. Something like that. And something like this. Alright, we have the joints in place. Now let's start doing some cool stuff with these fingers. We're not going to copy that, obviously, because that's plagiarism. I just wanted a decent joint setup for a robot hand, and that looked pretty cool. So we'll add our own neat details. Which I'll probably just do the one finger and then copy paste. So for now, just to avoid being distracted, we're going to hide these. And these. Well, not these, but these. I always have a couple garbage layers where I just put stuff I'm not currently using, but might use later. It's a helpful workflow. But let's make these a little bit rounded. So I think we'll take these faces and scale them down rather than taking those ones and scaling them up. We'll use soft select and we'll change it to sharp. And we can probably actually take this and reveal more of that. Take this and connect it a bit. And, oh shit. And we'll take these and do the exact same thing. If we hide the other ones, then the soft select won't affect them. And this guy probably needs some divisions this way, which we'll want to use a smooth or sphere for. Which if we hide these, they won't be affected. Cool. Again, anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to ask literally anything about Blender. It is my favorite tool. So we can also add a little bit of bulge to this, just for the hell of it. I always keep hitting 3 instead of Control 3. and then we'll divide that in two, and create the compensation for bending. So now, if we select this and snap our cursor to it, we can test rotations by setting the 3D cursor. So now it'll rotate around, and it can go almost 90 degrees, which is all we could ever really ask for, so that's not bad. And we'll do the same thing for this joint compensation. Because this guy doesn't just have to look cool, he has to be articulated. So if we rotate around there, that's all we really need. We just need it to go 90 degrees for a fist. Which we could just model it in a fist, but I feel like if I rig it like this, it'll end up being more useful. Alright, so other things we can do. Rather than having these just be solid blocks of finger, we can open them up and solidify them, which is going to make them a total bitch to unwrap later and texture. Well, texturing will be easy once we get it unwrapped, but unwrapping is going to be quite the chore with this dude, and we'll probably put the whole robot on multiple UV sheets. Just because he's going to need to have some higher resolution materials than 2048 by 2048. So we can solidify this. Solidify is a really good modifier. If it doesn't do shit like that. But this is happening because it's beveling before I solidify. So if we solidify first, then we don't get that issue. And for this guy, I think we can make him a bit bigger. And then we can probably... Ooh, this is a tricky one. Cut out some areas for the joints. And since we're just solidifying, we only have to delete one face. And then we get nice joint intersections. And we can slide this edge along, space it out a bit. We can do the same with the bottom one specifically. The edge spacing and stuff doesn't matter a whole lot since it's hard surface, but I don't know, I like it. And let's just scale this guy up some, so it's actually colliding, like that, and then we'll add another joint here. Like so. And then, if we want the bevel along all of it, we can just do one of those, using hard ops again to make the surface a hard ops surface. So that's looking pretty cool. I'm a lot happier with this hand so far than I thought I would be. I think we can shorten this a little bit though. And we probably, since this is gonna be attached to this joint here, we don't want the hand to have weird angles except for where it's not gonna be animating. So I actually think we can make these a little bit longer, but we'll mess with that here in a second. Let's just duplicate this across first. Oh shit, what happened? Oh, I see what's happening. There we go. We had to hollow out the whole thing. Which will hollow out more parts and split it up into panels and stuff a little bit later. But right now, let's just get all the fingers in place. And these are going to have to be scaled differently, of course. And we can probably even take these edges. And let's go ahead and take these ones too. And move them down a bit, like he has knuckles almost. And then we can move these ones down like he has a palm. And then we can move these ones up. The reason I'm selecting the joint parts, though, is because I want to give the soft select a wider range to work with. Something like that is not terrible. Then we just need to space you out some. So make you a bit longer, just like a real fist. Move you up, and then we can scale you up. Then we can make the pinky just a tad bit shorter, I think. So we'll actually just move you in. Make it a little bit skinnier so it doesn't collide there. Like so. We got fingers, hooray! So let's round these out a little bit. Just a bit, just enough to where people might notice that I actually put effort into this. Like so. And I feel like these proportions are still off, so we will move you up a little bit to get a little bit closer to the middle finger. So you don't want to give him a super long middle finger, he'll just look like he's flicking people off all the time. And honestly, I think all of these can come out a little bit further. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I got these nice boxy hands with these boxy fingers. They look like they belong on a robot. So we will put this in a group right now, just so we can test it on the robot. And we'll move it closer to the center and put it on its own layer. Which is, layers are super useful just for hiding things. So if we hide this and then we add a group instance, we can scale this down to about the right size. Plug it on him. So now, while we're modeling the big version, we can always see how this is matching up. Except, my bad, this is his right hand. And she's got some giant hands. But that's fine, because he's a punching robot. He's gonna punch people. Okay, so now we have to work on the thumb, which is going to be a little bit interesting. So let's go ahead and move our background image to match, just so we can get a good idea of how big the thumb should be. This is just very general reference, but we can put the thumb coming off right here. Oh, and how do we want that to joint? That's a tough call. So this bone can mostly move up and down at an angle, it looks like. You can't see my hand. I'm screwing around with my hand right now. And that one moves. Okay, so we've got 3 bones, right? And we're actually going to scale this guy in some to make room. Like so. And we need 3 bones. One will rotate about around here, and it can go out, but it can also rotate in a little bit. It's your like thumb pad bone. I don't know the actual proper terms for it, but that's the best description I got. And then these ones only rotate in one direction. So I need a joint that rotates in 2 directions, which means we need 2 motors for the purpose of the rig. Or we can just fake it and be totally lame. Oh, also, these fingers need to be on different... Yeah, I'm totally stalling. These fingers need to match the curve of the hand, so we'll do that too. Move you down some. And we'll move you down some. And then you gotta be the highest, because you're the MVP. So now if we look at it from the front, we got a nice curve. If you look at your hand, you get a similar sort of effect. How do we want to approach the thumb? I think I got it. Alright, so I'm looking at my hands and not so much looking at the reference except for scale. We'll go ahead and scale this up, not nearly that much. And that'll constitute the first 2 joints. Which this one will only rotate along this axis. Magic ball joint. That's let's see what you're doing there. Nah, we gotta make this look cool. Because the hands are gonna be the things that get closest to the player in the boss battle, which I don't know how long you've been watching. But this is the general scale, so these are gonna be fists, really big fists, and they're gonna punch at the player. So the fists are gonna get closer to you than the actual robot. They gotta look good. So this will be 2 joints. Which right now, when I'm looking at my hands for reference, my thumb is just about flat, so that's the way we're gonna model it, and then we'll rig it so it can bend in. Which, man, I wish I could just take the skin off my hand. And do it that way. Well, edge split that to stall for time. Maybe bevel those a little bit more. So how are you doing today? I think the thumb doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's just going to be bent in and a fist anyway. But I have accepted this challenge, so I've got to see it through. I guess in real life, my muscles are pulling it up and down on a ball joint. But for robots, you got to have two motors if you're going to have it bend two ways. Although this reference, that guy's clever. He just has it hidden. Clever bastard. Oh, but I like what he did with covering the joint with a plate like that. I might have to do that for the fingers a little bit. Yeah, I'm just working on Punch Bomb. Got to get this game done. But I figure if I'm working on my game, might as well stream it. That way, if anybody has any questions about Blender or anything, I can sort of answer them. I know a little bit, tiny bit about what I'm doing. I think this whole thing can be skinnier. So we're going to have a cylinder going that way for sure for that joint. Alright. So we'll plug that in there just to visualize. We'll copy over our finger joints in a bit here because those look a lot cooler. Okay, so then this needs to be able to, I guess the other joint would be like this. Because it would rotate generally around here. Then we can connect these two joints. So this one can rotate the thumb that way, and this one can rotate it inward. Then we probably... Well, let's try it. Normally I have a better general idea of what I'm doing, but hands, man. So if we rotate that, and then we rotate this guy in, and that might get us close enough to a fist for the player to not care. So let's just move this up here and fake it. Then we can make it look like it has a plate that rotates around that thing's connected to. Which, if you have any Blender questions or anything, I mean, that's why I'm doing this. Just because, I guess I'd rather be talking to people and potentially helping people out while I'm doing this stuff than just working on it. Alright, no problem. Hope you have a great night. Then we'll hollow this out. Yeah, we can totally turn this into a nice like hollow shell kind of thing and solidify it. And this even thickness button is magic. Let's just add some segments here to work with. We can delete them later if we don't like them. I'm just going to stall for time while I figure out this joint problem. I missed a face. Which for this to rotate 90, it really needs to be 45-degree angle offset pretty much, which I think that'll get us close enough. Let's try that. Okay, so if we snap cursor to that, actually make sure we're rotating around the cursor. I don't think this is going to get us close enough. So what we really need is one pointed the other way that rotates. I'm going to look up more robot hand reference to see how other people approach the problem. Because there are actual robot hands in existence. Like Dean Kamen's Luke hand. Or I'll look at a hand skeleton. Yeah, the skeleton just works on a ball joint, so that's not going to help much. Of course, rotating that guy. And we probably need to bring this palm in some to make room. This is going to be the hardest part of the hand. For sure. Because we also need a joint that can rotate like along this axis, I think. Ugh. Oh no, this only goes horizontal. I think I can make that work. Move this guy out some. Make another joint that goes this way. Make it look interesting. We'll create some holes for that in a bit. Let's try this. Okay, so we can, and let's go ahead and split these just so we can get the whole effect. Parent U to U, U to U. Again, we're just testing out this joint system. We will redo all the rigging with actual bones and stuff a little bit later. Okay, so if we rotate U, which now if we rotate U, rotate U, rotate U, rotate U, rotate you. Okay, yeah, this gives us full thumb articulation. That's not bad. We'll go with this joint setup. Looks a bit janky, but it works. And that is what matters. And we can scale this in to tighten it all up a bit. We can scale these down some too, and then we can move this whole edge down, or scale this guy in some. And we can move you in, and that'll give us our thumb articulation. Alright, that's passable. Maybe give this some more volume just by scaling that up some. Make it look a little bit more interesting. I'm alright with that. We'll go ahead and delete all these faces to hollow these out and make room for the joints. Which, as I said, we'll probably just copy these guys along. Which we want these edges to match up. Like so. And then we can scale to match. Then we can Alt-P on these to clear the parents. Copy you along. Like so. We can join these guys back together for now. So when we rig them, they'll need to be one object anyway. Can move that down. I missed a face. And then we can add some extra segments to delete for joints. Because just having mesh collide looks bad. Let's not lie here. And just for the sake of further articulation, we'll take this edge and slide it in a bit. And then we'll still go ahead and add the joints. Like that. And then if we solidify, scale the thickness up a good bit. Move that before the bevel. And give it some even thickness. We have a working thumb. Now we're going to have to finagle these joints a bit to make them look good. So we're going to take these two edges here and slide them down. Just to match. And we can eliminate some vertices along other edges here in a bit. But that'll look pretty cool, I think. Can slide this along to make room for another edge. Delete those. We have a pretty cool looking joint set up. I am completely alright with this. This is much better than I was anticipating. I do think we can take these edges and slide them down this way some though. And then we can bevel these. There we go. We have a nice looking robot hand joint set up. So now we can detail up the hand. We might want to add like some sort of just general cover here. Just paneling to make it look neat. So we'll add a plane here. Just to make it look clean. And we will attach that there. Bring you in. And we can scale this up to match and solidify it. After we add a couple edges here and drag them out to add a nice curve. Turn this to sharp mode, so that'll give us a better fall off for modifying this and make it match the curvature of the hand better. We can offset this a bit just so it doesn't go too far down and move the solidify before the bevel, making an even thickness. And we have a nice handpiece there. Though it could really match up better with the joint. I will call that a passable thing for now. We can give these a little bit of curvature. And same this way. They're nice boxy fingers, but they like hard edges with some curves I think look really cool for sci-fi things. And then we want to add these to the group so we can see what they look like on our actual boss robot. Those hands are gigantic, so we're going to scale this down just a little bit. It'll still be big enough to punch, I think, and if it's not, we can scale the whole robot up, which will make it more dramatic. And I think we can scale this whole area out a little bit more. So we can scale him up. We can scale him up just to sort of match with the giant hands that we're creating. The hands will already look giant in comparison because of perspective, but this will really help blend into the hands more, I think. Because you want these giant hands that just come straight at the platform, and you have to punch them away, and they're pretty much going to be as big as the player. We'll put those on the hand layer as well. We'll duplicate this, put it over here. And let's give him some wider arms here too. I give him some muscles essentially. And I think we want to add a couple more details here, just to have better looking intersections. Which, they're still not great intersections, but it'll improve that transition between the armor a little bit. We can move this whole thing up to prevent mesh collision. I'm pretty happy with where the hands are right now. I'm just going to focus on detailing those up more in the next video, and I'm just going to do some final tweaks here before I stop streaming for the night. Maybe get some more pneumatic cylinders and stuff in there. I still think these can be wider. So let's really upsell this. They don't have to be tight at all, because it just kind of looks weird. No, I think we can exaggerate the shoulder pieces a little bit too. Alright, it has been 2 hours. I'll be back either tomorrow or later this week at some point to work on detailing the hands. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you learned a thing or two, but now our robot has some blocked out hands with functional joints, so that's pretty cool. We also added a few more details, and we'll go further in depth on detailing them up in the next stream. So hope you all have a great night. Until next time.